When I say I'm a fan of video games, like, I mean, I'm a fan. I love the music. I love the art. I love the stories. Obviously, the merchandise. I've dedicated my entire YouTube career to video gaming, and I'm a 43-year-old guy, and pretty much the fondest memory I have of pretty much like anything ever revolves around video gaming. It's just a big hobby of mine. It's part of my life. Music of video games in particular, though, always strikes me. I think I've talked a lot about it on my channel, which you should subscribe to, by the way. But my audio playlist, I talk a lot about different types of digital audio converters and headphones and sound bars to get the most out of your gaming experience. And a large part of that is not the sound effects side, but it's actually the soundtrack side. And a lot of the music that I listen to is remixes or covers of famous video game songs or ballads or key moments that invoke emotion in me. So I jumped at the opportunity to pick up tickets to Candlelight, the best of video games. So what you're looking at here is actually, this is just a screenshot of it, but look at how cool this is. So I actually went to this tonight here in the great city of Orlando, Florida, my hometown, at a place called the Abbey. And what they basically did was they lined up 3,000 of these little candles. Now, they weren't actual real candles. They were electric candles, but it looked amazing, right? Scattered all throughout. All the lights were off everywhere. There was no lighting anywhere except for the candlelight, which was really, really cool ambiance. And you could sit in one of 4 different zones. So I was sitting in zone A. Of course, I had to spring to sit up closest to the front, but I had some friends who were sitting in zone C, and they said their seats were just fine. So pick your price that works best for you. Obviously, you know your budget better than I know your budget. But basically, you're going to sit down, and they're going to basically play music, and it's a 4-piece orchestra. I don't know if they really call it an orchestra, and there's only 4 of them. Like a quartet is what they were called. But there were 2 violinists. There was a person playing a cello. And then there was somebody playing like a big type of, almost like a harp. I'm not good with the instruments, maybe like an oboe. I don't know. You can look at the pictures here. They were all like wooden, they're wooden instruments. There wasn't like any winds. So there wasn't like a trumpet or a trombone or anything like that. There were no drums, and it was just these instruments. Now, they were what they called classically trained, which means they basically played kind of like the traditional way, but they did a lot of really cool effects as well. Where like at one point they were like, one guy was hitting on the part of the instrument with his hand to create like a bass sound. One guy was actually finger plucking very quickly. They would even play with their the stick upside down. So instead of it touching with the string, they were hitting the wood part on top, and it kind of created this angelic reverb. It was awesome. And this organization under Fever, they do these candlelight exhibits all the time. So I'm going to post a link to Fever in the description below. Check them out. They're in your area. Now, they do different types of music. They do tribute to the Beatles. They do tribute to Taylor Swift, 90s R&B, which just sounds really, really cool. But what I went for was obviously video games. And it was called Candlelight, the best of video games. It was about an hour long, a little longer maybe. And basically there were 4 people. They would talk on the microphone. They passed the microphone around amongst themselves, introduced themselves, talked about their instruments, the games they enjoyed playing, a little bit of ditty before they would play a block of 2 to 3 songs, talking about the songs and what the songs meant to them. They would tell you what they were so you could identify them. And then they would kind of just pass the microphone around and play songs. And I get to listen to this for an hour with my wife, and it absolutely blew my mind. I was so incredibly impressed with it. I loved it. It was such a unique experience. Just the ambiance alone was really cool. Just seeing all those candles was really, really neat. But when you kind of take away the technology, when you take away the big video display wall in the background where they're showing off like the gameplay footage, like when they did Ballad of the Goddess or Video Games Live. When you kind of take that away, it's almost like a sensory deprivation, but almost a sensory overload, because you really get more engaged with the music. And while I sat there and smiled the entire time, I did find at times I just kind of closed my eyes and let the music just kind of wash over me. And it was beautiful. I teared up a few times. I mean, I'm an emotional guy. I'm not going to lie about that. I had goosebumps almost the entire time because the music is just so good. And I knew exactly what they were going to play before they showed up, and I still felt that way. There was one minor set list change, but overall it was awesome. And I want to show you guys here the set list, and I want you guys to see how cool this was. So they started off with Legend of Zelda. They had the Wii series Me channel. So the Me music that you heard when you fired up your Wii or your Wii. I don't know if they had it at the Wii U. Basically the Plaza with the little Wii's running around. It was so good. They did not play Terra's theme, which I was a little heartbroken by. They instead played a snippet of Final Fantasy VIII, the opening cinematic to that, which I like Final Fantasy VIII, so I wasn't too sad, but I'm not going to lie. I really wanted to hear Terra's theme. They played the Pokemon theme song from Sun and Moon. Now, this says Halo main theme. It was not the Gregorian chant, although it did start off with a slight Gregorian chant, although no one was actually talking, just with their instruments. That was actually the Warthog Run music from Halo 3, which was awesome. God, it was so good. It's the music that plays during the town of Voy, the assault there, and then it's the music that plays again at the end. The song is actually called The Greatest Journey, but they played that in its entirety. It was awesome. The main theme to Crash Bandicoot, the main theme of Last of Us, the song, one of the songs from Journey. I don't believe this is the main track, although Journey did have a lot of music that played throughout it. It was a very recognizable tune. They played the Tetris main theme, the Mario Kart 64 Rainbow Road song. Super Metroid, we got two. We got the original main theme, and then we got Brimstar, which was amazing. I love both of those songs. I was so happy to hear Brimstar. It took me back to Super Metroid, running through kind of that forest. In Super Metroid, at that part is when you had your dash jump. And I don't know if you remember, but there was a part where like you fall into a pit, and there's one of those ostrich things that are teaching you how to like run and do like your shine spark jump up. It was so good. I mean, it just took me back to that exact moment. I was so happy with it. I would have liked to hear Kraid's theme, but I'll take Brimstar any day of the week. They did play Final Fantasy, the Prelude, Hollow Knight, the main theme to Minecraft, which they did note that it has actually just been inducted into the Congressional Library, which is insane. I think that's really, really cool. Megalovania from Undertale. We got to hear the first steps from Celeste. The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, A Dark World, which probably one of my like favorite songs ever in terms of just covers. I can't tell you. There's a guy, he doesn't do YouTube videos anymore, but he did this really amazing rock cover of Legend of the Past, Link to the Past, The Dark World. Man, I'm not kidding you. I've probably listened to that thing 500 times. So amazing. Then they did like a kind of like a little ballad, like a little ditty of some of the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time songs. There was like 3 or 4 of them in a row. We had the Forest, Epona theme. It was all just kind of nice to hear that blend together. They wrapped that up with the Ballad of the Goddess, which if you haven't gotten to see the Zelda tour, a Symphony of the Goddess, I don't know if they're touring anymore, unfortunately, but you can look on YouTube. There's like a 200-piece orchestra that actually plays Ballad of the Goddess, and it's a beautiful, beautiful song. And then they wrapped it up with the Super Mario Brothers medley. They played the water level, the is it called Dark Depths? Dark Deep Depths? It's a Super Mario 60. Oh, no, Dire Docks is what it's called. It's the water music in Mario 64. It's beautiful. Of course, they played World War I, World War II, and then they ended with the basically the flagpole. It was great. Standing ovation from everybody. Yeah, it was a string quartet in Orlando. It's the same one there. I don't know what this listetto means. I'm sure that's like some variant of string quartet. I am not a music guy. But I just wanted to just say this was awesome. And the seating chart was a little different than ours. We didn't have 3 separate sections. We just had one section, A, B, C, and D. But I don't think there's a bad seat in the house. I loved it. I loved it so much. And I just had to talk about it and share with you guys my experience with it because it was just such a special thing. Apparently, the whole Fever organization does 29 different like Candlelight experiences, like I said, Beatles and some of the other stuff. And this was the new one that just came out. So it's slowly trickling out in various markets. You might not see it right away, or it might have, like in the case of Orlando, it just passed. They will be back again. They said they're going to continue to refine and add more music to it. But man, beautiful stuff. I just wanted to just say, hey, this is awesome. And I loved it. And thank you for doing this. And there are people like me, hardcore gamers, who can just, put down the doom slang for a minute and just fall in love with classics and music that takes me back to a place and time when the world was a little less difficult and life was just a little sweeter. So yeah, that will wrap up my video review on Fever Candlelight Best of Video Games. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, I will see you guys on the Rainbow Road. Take care. Bye-bye.